Hey everyone. Now I've got a temporary desk set up here because I'm waiting on a brand new desk. That's why it all looks a bit different here. But anyway, I recently did a video on HikVision cameras and the fact that our Australian government's decided to rip them all out because they say there's some sort of security issue. And I said basically, if you set your network up right and don't let stuff out, you won't have a problem. But anyway, after I made that video, HikVision got in touch with me. And first of all told me they're HikVision, not HikVision. So HikVision, and they said, hey, we'll give you a camera because we're confident in our products and you can check it right out. So they've given me this camera here and I'm going to put it on the network and see what it does. Okay, it's one of these things that has two lenses which combine to make one ultra wide image, which coincidentally matches the resolution of my monitor, so that'll be good. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to start with that and plug it in the network. Okay, so I'm going to plug this on the same VLAN that I've got my existing cameras on, which has no internet access, and NTP and DNS get redirected to my local server so they don't go out to the world either. So I'm going to plug that in, but before I do, I've set up a port mirror on that port to go into the computer here so I can capture everything that goes through there, and I'll have that up on Wireshark. Now I'm not going to share this screen here at the moment because I know you'll get upset with the resolution, but I see stuff coming in. I'll do the capture and then put it on a 16:9 monitor and go through the capture with you. Okay, I've just come out to the server in the garage because that desktop has the standard installer VLC, which doesn't include RTSP. But this one I installed via Flatpak, so it's got RTSP. So I can see, anyway, going to that address, I've got the ultra-wide image here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stream that as multicast so I can watch it in there, and that's what I do with all the cameras anyway, and I'll be able to see it in that resolution on the big screen. Right, I've got that streaming as multicast throughout my network now, and I can view that here. So I've got this ultra-wide thing here. I might go mount this somewhere so it looks at something while I do the rest of this. All right, here's the old one up here, which points in this general direction. So I'm going to put the new one up there, which will cover next door as well, but old man next door won't mind because he likes me keeping an eye on his property as well. So I'll actually be able to do that now. So that's where it's going to go. There's a bit of a difference in size between the two, but that's all right. Got plenty of room. So I'll put that up now. All right, that's in now. See how it goes. All right, it's night time now, so it's dark outside, and you can see, hopefully, the difference here from one of my old cameras with the black and white with the infrared, and this new one, same driveway, just with street lighting here. It's full color, so it's pretty impressive actually. I was pretty surprised. So that's good. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the other monitor, the 16:9 monitor, so you can see Wireshark. And what I'll do is I'll restart the camera and do a packet capture for its MAC address on the firewall so you can see what it's doing. Okay, the camera is currently off. So what I'm going to do is start a packet capture on the VLAN interface of the router just for that camera's MAC address. So I'll just start that up and then I'll start the camera up. So I'll see what I capture. Now I've noticed this ARP request come from that MAC address, which I find a bit odd, saying HOOT has 1.128 till 1.77, which isn't its address. So I don't know what that's about. Anyway, see some IPv6 stuff bouncing around just as it starts up. That's because the link's up, so the router's saying it's there, and that sort of thing. So pretty soon there should be a DHCP request. Okay, there it is. So it's done DHCP, now it's ARPing. So the first thing it's ARPing for is itself, just to see if there's a duplicate basically. And then it's looking for the gateway. So gateways. Now it's trying to sync up to this address here, 192.168.252.2. And I think that's some ONVIF thing, but I'm not sure. But either way, that's just a LAN address, so it's not anything in the outside world. Next is DNS looking for the time. And that other thing again. And with the time, let's have a look. The time happens here, but just before it, you can see another ARP, so nothing special. But you've got this thing here, this layer 2 frame, and you can see there's no layer 3 about it. It's just some sort of payload in layer 2, and what it contains is some stuff about the camera here. So it's got the camera model and that. So that's probably some proprietary protocol of theirs that I'm not aware of. But again, it's just a layer 2 broadcast on the LAN here, so that's not going to go out to the world. Time, so I asked for the time, it gets the time. Now the way I've got my time server set up, as I showed in a previous video, it just redirects whatever it aims for
like this here, 52.148, that gets redirected to my own time server anyway with destination NAT, so that doesn't leave my network anyway. Just IPv6 there. Okay, some MDNS stuff. That's a local multicast around here saying all this crap here. You can see. If you want to view that a bit easier, just do follow UDP stream. Not much easier, but a little bit easier. That's just what it's spitting out. And what else we got? Some SNMP. Now I notice it sends this SNMP trap when you first boot it up. So I set some SNMP stuff on here. You won't see much down here except a whole bunch of stuff. That's SNMP, so of course that's going wherever I sent it. I set that IP address there. MDNS stuff, yep, no worries. And that frame again. So that's what's happening so far. This here, what would that be? That's my Home Assistant trying to talk to it, which I should have deleted, but never mind that. That's just Home Assistant. I was mucking around looking for OnVIF stuff. But everything's local area here, so there's no real problem. So what I'll do is I'll just trim that down one by one to make sure nothing snuck through. So ARP, we know what ARP is. So I'll just remove ARP from there. And not SNMP, because we know what SNMP is. So not that. I'll get rid of IPv6, because it's not doing anything with IPv6 at the moment. So get rid of IPv6. DNS, we know what DNS is, so not DNS. And what's that one? That was... oh, that's that mystery one. I'm going to come back to that. That's just a sync packet trying to connect to that address here. I don't know where that came from. I think it's something to do with OnVIF. So it might have been something they've got in their NVRs that I don't know of. So I can pretty much disregard that because it's not a WAN address anyway. It's a LAN one, so it doesn't matter. So and not IP.dst equals 1.2.2. So get rid of that. Who's next? We know what DHCP is, so get rid of DHCP from here. This frame here, as I said, I don't know what it is, just a layer 2 frame, so I'll get rid of that as well. So for that, ether type, and not selected, so piss that off. NTP, we know what time is, so rule that one out as well. MDNS, that's multicast stuff locally here. We know what that is, so get rid of that as well. And that little last bit that I said was from my Home Assistant. So I'll get rid of that just to be complete here. So everything here is known, and there's no attempt to try to get to anything external. So that's good. All right, here's the web interface for it. And what I like about this is that I don't have to install any plugin to see the video here, which I have on other cameras, because this is Linux and they never have Linux plugins anyway. It does have a plugin, and I did notice that if you click it, it sends off to the real outside world, so I don't need to download that. But if I look at the link, it was actually sending to there. So that's in the outside world. But if you had an NVR locally, it probably would have done a DNS redirect to itself to download from its own box. But I don't have that. So it's gone out to the web, it seems. But that's not a problem. That's still not user data. So anyway, let's have a quick poke around. A bit of this, time settings, yeah, I set that up. As I said, it doesn't matter what I've got there. You can be a LAN one. I force mine to my LAN anyway. Daylight saving, RSTP2, image stitching, blah, blah, blah. Firmware stuff, you'd think it'd tell you the current version down here, but it doesn't. Okay, security stuff, RTSP, yeah, you can pick whichever. Blah, 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 IP address filtering. I wouldn't trust this for your firewall. I'd use a real firewall. Even with SSH, which is a secure protocol, it still gives you a warning about it when you enable it. This, that, the other. I've disabled that. Network. Okay, this started off as a static address, as I showed you, but that was easy enough to find and then just connect to it and set it to DHCP. No worries. Dynamic DNS I'm not using. PPPoE, not that. Some ports for it, blah, blah, blah. NAT, obviously keep UPnP turned off. Multicast. I tried setting up a multicast address there to see if I could get a video stream out like I do it, but nothing happened, so I don't know what that's for. I also don't know why the ports are different for video and audio, but anyway, I'll leave that. The way I do multicast is to just use VLC on the server without an interface, and just grab the RTSP stream, user and password in there to the IP address. And then I just send it out. Where are we? I just send it out to the multicast group, and that's pretty much it. And it's just in a loop, so if it dies, it just restarts it. And that way I can just pluck it out from my list of things here. So like I've got similar for the front door. I can just press N for next and go to the driveway. In here we've got SNMP. Now again, it even warns you if you do SNMP version 2, it says, oh, come on, you should be using 3. So, it gives you a warning. But again, it's on my LAN, so it's fine. Set SNMP up. FTP I don't like. Now, it uses FTP, which is an ancient protocol. We should be using SFTP there, or like SCP. But I set this up here to grab some pictures from the motion sensor, and that seemed to work. So I did that. Email I'm not using, blah, blah, blah. Platform, HTTPS. Probably could have selected that, but no need on a LAN. This one here, 802.1x, you can see it's only got an option for EAP MD5, which has been broken years ago. So that should have EAP PEEP or optimally EAP TLS, but MD5. That's just for port security of the switch. Like if you've got your switch set up with 802.1x, that's for authentication of this camera to it. So again, that's nothing out on the WAN anyway. Blah, 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 whatever, one of their protocols, I guess. Alarm server I don't have. So video, I just set the video up. You can muck around with that. Obviously, nothing about security there, just the setup. Region of interest, I guess that means. Not too worried about that. Display settings, blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing I would like is, on the video itself, you can see it has half black, half white here, adaptive text here, and I can't set a color like I could on the old models. But what would really be good is if they could do similar to what they did on the pictures that it captures. So there's an image that it captured yesterday of me out on the driveway there, and the text is white with a black edge on it, which is good because that'll work against any background. And that's like subtitles on movies and that. So that would be good. It does it on the still shots, but not on the actual video. But anyway, all I've got is that one option there, so I'll leave that there. Now for the event, I just set up an area there on my driveway, just roughly. And so I enable motion detection, blah, blah, blah. Set when to do it, which is all the time, I guess, and what to do with it. So I just uploaded to that FTP, which I showed you before. In fact, I'll show you that now. Okay, I've got Wireshark set up between the camera and the FTP server. So if I just do that test here, uses HikVision, passwords HikVision, as I've just put there, and it put a little file on there for the FTP data. It's just that this is a test for FTP from IP camera. It's just a little text file that puts on there. Now you've got to be on the LAN to see that, of course, but still, FTP is a crappy protocol these days. There's better ones out there. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. For the SNMP stuff, you can see it shows processor and memory, but it doesn't show network traffic, which I guess it doesn't really matter because you can see it on your switch port anyway. So you can see here the traffic. That's mainly my old camera. I only put this new one on yesterday. So as it goes back, those ups and downs are just day and night time. So going back to the camera, this is my old one from the other night. And you can see this cat just, if you can see it, this cat just popped out of the drain there, and you can barely see it on the background here. But when it looks towards the cameras, the infrared reflects off its eyes. It should do it in a second. There it is. You can see its eyeball there, okay, as it looks back. But that's all I could see of that cat. And now last night there was another cat. I think it's a different one because it's got more white on it. And you can see clearly over the other side of the road that would have been in the shadows before. I can see this bloody cat there. So it has motion sensors for humans or vehicles, but it doesn't have it for cats. That's what I'd like to have. Okay, now HikVision have this monitoring software, but of course I don't use it because I don't use Windows, and I've got my own stuff anyway. But I just ran up a bit of a VM to have a look at it, and it didn't seem to put stuff out on the net. So I didn't look too much into that, but you'd have to look to see what that does. At a glance, it didn't do anything. I had a quick look with a packet capture, and it didn't try and go anywhere. But don't quote me on that because I didn't look too hard because I do not like touching Windows. Now, I'm not really a software guy, but I know you can use binwalk to just go through the binary program and it'll pluck things out of it. So if I just run this on that storage server one there, you'll see stuff that it contains. So images, there's a Microsoft thing obviously, blah, 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 and certificate stuff. So what you can do is have a closer look at them. So let's say that certificate there, it'll have that file name. If I go to a directory it just made, it made all those files. Well, not all of them, but you can see a lot of them there. So now if I want to look at, let's say, one of these certificates, I can pluck that out and put it in OpenSSL, and you can see the certificate. And you can see these are the cert authorities. So like you have in a browser when you want to check if something was signed by the appropriate authority, that's what that would be. So I'm just grabbing that one. Grab this one here. Let's have a look. Boom. Symantec. Okay, so there you go. Symantec timestamping services CA. So anyway, you could pluck that out, but that's not my thing. I stick to networks, but I just thought I'd show you that.
Okay, so there's my new U-Butte camera on my new U-Butte monitor. So what I really wanted to do was just look at the network traffic from it and see what it's actually doing. And it turns out that it's not doing anything sus. It's certainly not sending anything even outside the network, which was a nice surprise. So it just keeps everything locally. So that was good. One of the things that I said I haven't checked is the actual code for things like the viewer program, and also there'd be an app, and I haven't looked at those. That's not really my thing. But from a network point of view, it's fine. And look, even if it wasn't, you could lock it down on your network if you know what you're doing anyway, which you should if you work in government. So as usual, everything's got blown out of all proportion on media stuff. So everyone said, don't use it. But I haven't seen any solid reason why not to use it. So if someone wants to show me why, that'd be good. But until then, I'll just see it as a normal network host, which you've got to assume is untrusted anyway, and lock your network down. That's pretty standard for any network engineer. Anyway, that'll do for now. Till next time, take it easy.